Nexam Chemical. We are making additives for plastic. And we both develop it, we produce it, and we sell the additives to the plastic industry. And it's kind of easy to come to the conclusion, working with plastic or dealing with plastic, that plastic should never have been invented. It's not a part of a sustainable society. On the other hand, it's such an integrated part of everything we do, everything we have around us. It's perhaps not as much a question about if, it's more about how we are going to deal with plastic in the future. On the pictures, you see some examples of where it's more or less 100% plastic. What you wear while doing sports. It's an integrated part of electrification and renewable energy. It's in every handheld device and also healthcare. And I intentionally kept out everything you see when you go into the grocery store. So Nexam has additives that can change the properties of plastic. It can improve the properties and enable a more lightweight design, and it can also open up and increase the possibility to recycle the plastic. So we like to say that we are a part of the solution, not the problem. We simply make plastic better. Having that said, we obviously have a bit of a sustainability message from our company, and we wanted to develop our message in a certain way. We wanted to have something that is possible to audit and a program and to declare it not just that it's a fantastic thing and it do good for nature or something like that. We wanted a very crisp and accurate system, something. And we found such a system. We found it with Nasdaq, and Nasdaq have a program called Nasdaq Green Equity Designation. And we got through the program, and you can read the report. It tells quite a lot about how we are working with sustainability and our ambition to sell our products into sustainable applications more and more. So we try, sustainability for us is very much centered on the products we make and what good the products can make. The company, oops, sorry for that, I went the wrong direction. The company, we have two business units. The Nexam Performance Chemical, that is the more innovative part of the company. It's where we make the patents and we do the most of the recycling business. We also have a business called Nexam Performance Master Batch. The Performance Master Batch is more broad, more industrial, and it's very much centered around color master batch. The two units are equally important to us. One enables us to go broadly in the market. We have 400 customers in the Performance Master Batch. The other one is much more targeted, where we try to discover niches. So the Performance Master Batch help us to participate broadly, and that enable us to find the niches. So it's a great combination, actually. And you can see that also from if we compare the size of the businesses over the last. This is just taken from the last quarterly report, the quarter 3, and it's comparison between the last 3 years, quarter 3. So we have growth year on year, and you see they both develop. We focus to make sure that we can develop both units and have a nice business in both areas. If we zoom out a little bit and look to what has happened in Nexam over the last couple of years. And since 2000, we made an acquisition in 2018. We bought actually a color master batch company, and that's why we have that unit we needed the capacity and the capability of such a company. And that was done in 2017. 2018 is the first year where you can really compare the companies. And from 2018 to 2021, we doubled the revenue. And that's actually the target we have. And we did this completely organically. So it's no acquisition. It's selling more simply. And that's an ambition we have. And I copied this also from Q3 this year, and this shows that it's a little bit tougher this year. It started with quite a bit of logistical, how shall I put it, logistical difficulties to get raw materials, and both for us and also for our customers. And it has been a little bit slowed down in the economy towards the end of the year. So this year has definitely been quite tough, actually. Also, if you look to some of the applications where you believe that actually everything supports that those areas should grow, but it's still slightly slower, I would say. One thing I wanted to highlight, and we did that also in the quarterly report, is the cash. We have had a slightly, it looks like we are deteriorating our cash position very quickly. That was an effect of we stopped production to a large extent during September. We installed a new production line, so we produced a lot up front, and then we had to supply our customers for a bit of time. And that hit us during this period. So that's a comment we make. It should look better in the next one, the Q4 report. That's pretty much the message here. Otherwise, you can have a look on the figures in our quarterly report. I actually encourage you to go in and look at it if you're interested in our company. It's a live stream of the quarter report presentation. So, the following slides, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we are doing and where we can see great opportunities. We are lucky enough to really be connected to some of the mega trends. And one of them in the beginning, and I will deep dive into two of them in the coming slides. But just to start, the first one, we were very much into high temperature composite material, lightweighting of plastic materials that can be used at very high temperatures, up to 300 degrees Celsius for a long time, that fits perfectly into aircraft engines. And this is really where we learn the chemistry. And so it's easy to say that we are a little bit fragmented. And in one way, we are working with very many different applications, but it's actually the chemistry that brings it together. We do pretty much the same thing. Reactive chemistry for polymers. That's what we do in pretty much all of these areas. The two areas I would like to highlight a little bit and explain a bit more in detail is what we do in renewable energy, and also our ambitions in the recycling industry. You see the image of the windmill here, and we are not producing windmills. We are also not producing the blades to the windmills, but the core materials in all the windmills are built on a foam. It can be different type of foam, and we are selling additives for PET foam. And PET foam is the kind of winning material in that area. So we are directly connected to the windmill industry. If they're building a lot, we are selling a lot. But I will go a little bit deeper into that. The first thing I wanted to show, and I actually have two of these. It's taken from two different sources. We are growing with the wind energy industry. They are installing more and more. It doesn't go as fast as you might believe from looking at the need for electricity, but it's like 2% on an annual basis for the coming couple of years. And actually, if you look to a little bit longer, if you look into the expectation for 2030, it's going to be produced 1 million blades. That's a high number. And if you want a reference, if you put the blades next to each other, it's 1.5 turn around the Earth. So it's quite a few. And if we're looking, here is exactly the same thing. It's from another one. The former one was the Global Wind Energy Council, and this is the Wood-Mackenzie report. And it shows pretty much the same. It's a growth of like 2% in the coming years, 2-3%. No, sorry. It has a growth rate of 6% in the longer range up to 2026. So it's a continuous growth in that. So we have the support from the industry. The other thing is that PET is not the only core material that can be used. You can use other things, but PET foam is the one that is winning in the industry. So the blue line, and this is also from Wood-Mackenzie, the blue line is the share of PET as core materials in the windmill blades. There is also the PVC, and you have actually also balsa. It's the wood balsa that is used. Those are losing in share, and PET is winning in share. So on top of the general industrial growth, you also have a winning material. And Nexam, we also have the possibility to grow with customers. We are not selling to all foam producers, but I would say we have projects with all of them. We are heavily into 2 of the 4 major windmill producers, and we are definitely aggressive on the other ones. That was about wind industry and PET foam. The other one I wanted to tell you a little bit more about is recycling. I think this is perhaps the most interesting thing for Nexam in the coming, let's say, 5 years or something like that. It's very easy to have the image that plastic recycling is a problem that we solve. I've been carrying plastics to the recycling container for the last 10 years. But if we look to how much plastic is actually recycled, and then it's a little bit more depressing actually. It's on a global basis 15%. The rest is landfill, waste, incineration, but around 15% is recycled. The EU target for 2025 is 50%. And here is the big question: how do you get from 15%? EU might be a little bit better, by the way. They might be at 18. So, but they're definitely not on 20% recycling. And they're going to bring that to 50. It's obviously not going to happen. They will not hit this target. But they're moving in that direction. So it will be a growing business, and a business that is looking for solutions. And from an EU perspective, they are starting to use the tax tool. They put tax on non-recycled plastic more and more in different countries. It's always a little bit delayed and so on, but it's absolutely moving in one direction, and we will see more of this. And the more we manage to develop technology, sorry for this, that actually can enable the recycling, the higher the pressure will be. So what do we do in recycling? If you are melting a metal, you can melt it, and when it freezes, it's this kind of the same metal again. And you can do this over and over and over again. With plastic, it doesn't work like that, and that's why it's a little bit difficult to recycle it, because the properties of the material is getting worse and worse every time you recycle it. So you lose properties from every turn. You need to compensate for that, otherwise you cannot use it more than once. And one compensation is that you mix in new plastic, and that's kind of, it's a help, but it's not the final solution. You actually need to address the chemical and treat the plastic as a material and work with its chemistry. You can do that, and the perfect, and here you have a little bit different type of concepts. Sometimes you want to do the same thing over and over again. The bottle to bottle is a typical example of that. Then you need like this system where you pay for the bottle and then you get money back when you leave it, and then you can keep it quite tight, and you build a plant that can improve the material properties at every turn. Very often it's not that sophisticated. Very often it's just collected, and it will actually, you melt the plastic and make something new. That's a typical example of downcycling. And this is actually where we are really trying to make a difference. We try to move the angle of this arrow a little bit upwards versus upcycling, that you can actually improve the properties of the materials that enable you to not only make like garbage bags, but perhaps sporting shoes or something else, products with higher value. And going from 15% up to 50%, with the 15%, the first one, we managed to do all these garbage bags and flower pots and things like that. If we're going to use the other volume from 15 up to 50 or ultimately 100, we need to be a little bit more creative, and that's where we have our opportunities. We sell additives that actually can change the structure of the plastic and enable recycling on a different level. And to explain a little bit in the back what has been happening, we have a system we call reactive recycling. It's actually a brand. It's a lot of products that we pack inside that brand. We launched it in 2021, and we clearly see that this plastic recycling, it's really growing now. It's happening now. There was a big trade show, and all companies in the plastic industry, if they don't have a recycling story, they don't even bother to go to the trade show. Everyone sends out the same message. But it's surprisingly how few that actually address the chemistry of the plastic. It's a bit around how you mix it with virgin materials and perhaps a little bit of stabilizers or shredding machines or a lot of in machinery. But addressing the chemicals, not so many. Nexam really sticks out here. We are one of the few. And just to give you a reference, we have more than 50 recycling prospects that are testing our products, and half of them are beyond the kind of send a sample and see what happens. They actually go into more of industrial trials. So we are super positive about this. It will not go as fast as we want to, but I see this as our most interesting opportunity. So I'm getting to the end of this. What's good about Nexam beyond the things I've already told you? You might have understood from the presentation that when we manage to sell something to a customer, we are really an integrated part of the customer's innovation. It's not like something that just... It's not an accessory or something like that. We will be a part of the customer's chemical backbone often. So we will stick to the customer for a long period. It sometimes takes 3 years to gain a customer, but it definitely takes more than 3 years to lose them. Circularity is another reason for choosing Nexam. It's we definitely have a plan for it, and we are super positive around that plan will be possible to improve, and it will help us and support our business for many years. And my assessment of our company is that we are really in the beginning of our journey. Some of you have been investing in Nexam and been quite patient over many years, but I truly believe we are just in the beginning of the journey. With that, I'm actually ending the presentation. There is, for those that haven't seen it, there is a bit of a small film you can see on our website. It has been there for some time, but it explains what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johan, for the presentation. So if we look at the numbers for performance chemicals year to date, you're below compared to last year.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit why is that?
Yeah, it's actually not the numbers never lie, but it's explainable. We have our biggest customer have had a bit of difficulties to hit the same level of business this year as last year, so we lost quite a bit of turnover with our it's not our biggest customer anymore, but so it's quite explainable on a very limited part of our business. It's pretty much one customer that explain the deterioration of our turnover for the year. So if you take away that customer, it looks quite positive actually. We have a solid growth in everything else we do.
All right. So my last question will be, what could be potential sales driver for reactive recycling?
Drivers for reactive recycling. It's actually the reactive recycling has been a garbage industry, we can say, and a little bit of the opportunities there is also this, at the same time the problem. The opportunity is that there are not so many working with these things, and that's so it's an addressing really the properties of the material. The problem with that is that the people you meet in this area, they are not really considering themselves as a chemical industry. They have been collecting garbage and trying to get rid of it. And we want them to start a chemical business and actually increase the value of their material. And this takes a little bit of time, but it's also the biggest opportunity here. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Johan.
Okay, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.